Hey, jace-burner here again, doing another deck profile. This one we're going to go over my Machina Deck, which is, I call it Machina ROIDS, because it uses a ROID engine for it instead of basic Machinas and gadgets. I got a new mat, completely white, it's really bare. It's taunting me with its blankness, but eventually it'll be covered with something really cool. I'm going to start though with monsters. These are the monsters. Has a lot of them, but alright, we'll start. 3 Expressroids. These are a level 4 Earth attribute machine. Every monster in here is a machine, so not to worry about the machine attribute or type. 400 attack, not very good. 1600 defense, decent, but that's not what's important. His important effect is whenever it's summoned, you can add 2 Roid monsters from your graveyard to your hand, except Expressroid. So he's really good. Hay is in here to get out 3 Armoroids. So you have 2 of these in the graveyard. Summoning Expressroid, you get them to your hand. What he's in here for is he's level 8 Earth attribute, machine, 2700 attack points, 2000 defense. His effect is whenever he's tribute summoned with at least 1 Roid monster, remove from play all spell and trap cards on the field. You probably won't use his effect very much, but he does have that very helpful effect if you use it. But what he's in here for is for Machina Fortress, which I'll get to next. I'll get to the combo for him later. Right now, I'll just go through accounts. So we have 3 Machina Fortresses. Pretty much a staple for a Machina deck. You gotta have him. He's the only good card in it. 3 Machina Gear Frames. Their stats aren't important because everyone should know them by now. There's 3 Peacekeepers. Searches out other Peacekeepers to your hand or Gear Frames. This deck uses really good, mainly unions in it, so I use 1 heavy mech support platform. Alright, and for the gadget types, 2 yellow, 2 green, and 2 red. I said those out of order, but yellow, red, green. I only run a set of 2 of them because you get too many of them and you'll end up getting a bunch in your hand when you don't really need them in your hand to start with, unless you're getting your fortress out quick. I run 1 Machina Soldier. Pretty much anyone who runs a Machina deck doesn't really run Machina Soldier, but I like his effect to be able to special summon a Machina from your hand. It does come in handy every once in a while, plus he's level 4 Earth attribute, and 1600 attack, 1500 defense. He's got decent for those. Not really a beat stick, but still enough to get over some things. Let's see. 2 Scrap Recyclers. When it's summoned to the field, ditch a card from your deck to your graveyard. Really helpful if you want to send those fortresses there, or you can send Armoroid there or a Cyber Dragon, depending on what's in your hand. Speaking of Cyber Dragon, 2 Cyber Dragons. Only going to keep it at 2. Might even limit it down to 1, but probably not though, depending if I want a Cyber Dragon in another deck. And 1 Cyber Valley. Alright, now to what the combos were of why you run these guys in here. Alright, well, the thing is, you have to discard level 8 or higher of levels to special summon from the graveyard or your hand. Now, a lot of people run Machina Force, which is like level 10 or something guy in there just because he's a Machina and he's searchable for Machina Gear Frame. But the thing is, you'll never summon Machina Force. So I run the Armoroids. Armoroid does the same thing for discarding, plus you can use him for other things, so you can summon him. Plus, with the Expressroid, you just summon him, get these back to your hand, and just ditch them again for Machina Fortress. So it just keeps coming back. And so when you summon him, you get these 2 back in your hand. You can immediately discard both of those again, special summon 2 fortresses from your graveyard if they got destroyed. So it's really easy to summon. I don't see why people use Force when Armoroid's just as good and you'll be able to summon them. And you already have a searcher in your deck for it, so you don't really need Gear Frame solely to get your fortress to your hand. But let's move on to traps. So we got 1, 2, 3D prisons. Dimensional prisons, really awesome. So there's really no point in explaining why these are in here. I don't run a really expensive deck. This is pretty much basic, what you can buy from the starter decks. One time machine. It's be pretty annoying when they're trying to get rid of Fortress. One compulsory, only in case you want to clear their field from something you can't get rid of, or save your own monster. 2 rollout. There's a lot of unions in the deck, so rollout helps them keep from being destroyed once. So that's it for traps. Not very many traps. A lot of this deck is monsters, so spells. 1 Machina armored unit. Most people know what it does. When a machine is destroyed, special summon a monster, same attribute, less attack points from your deck. That's simple. Most of the cards in this deck are machines, so you're just going to keep downgrading until you get what you want. 2 solidarities. Everything's machine. 800 points is awesome. 1600 points is even better. Makes any card in your deck really strong. Limiter removal. Push for game, or just piss off your opponent by destroying your own cards. And when a machine of the monster is equipped within a union, the union gets destroyed instead. So you get to keep your monster, and they lose a ton of life points. MST, Soul Driven Light. 1 Overload, 1 Future Fusion. Since you have Cyber Dragon, these are the reasons why you're running them, so that way you can get other cards. Now, as you notice, I don't use Call of the Haunted, and I don't use Monster Reborn, and I don't use Dark Hole. The reason is, I haven't put them in this deck. This is just kind of a fun deck. If I ever play this in like a tournament, then I'd switch it into, you'll have a Mirror Force in there, you'll have a Call of the Haunted, Monster Reborn, all those staples. But since I don't use this for anything other than fun, I don't bother taking the time to put them in there. Why bother? The thing wins anyway, so there's nothing in the deck it would need to call the Haunted or Monster Reborn, because it's just going to get Armoroid and Expressroid back every time. Side deck, this deck doesn't synchro, so it doesn't use any of them. Chimera Tech, both of them, Fortress and Overdragon, and Cyber Twin Dragon. That's it. That's all this deck is. It's not very hard. Basically, buy 3 of the Machina Mayhem decks, and add 3 Expressroids and 3 Armoroids, and you've got the same deck pretty much. The only thing you have to change is the side deck, the extra deck. That way you can have cards you can use. That's all this deck is. It's really simple, really cheap. That's why everyone hates Machinas. This is jace-burner signing off. I'll do a card curry deck profile later on, and also my Twilight Surprise that's been updated. So, peace out.